This is MMA fight music producer Mikey Ruckus, welcoming you to MyMMAnews.com. This is a leader of a news show, news style, integrity, and old school. While I was anytime is the right time, MyMMAnews.com. This is a leader of a news show, news style, integrity, and old school. While I was anytime is the right time, MyMMAnews.com.
A huge shout out and thank you to Dependable Solutions. Innovating the future of your business, visit dependable-solutions.net to save your company money by reducing the markup percentage on your credit card processing fees. It's just that simple. Do yourself a favor, go ahead and check out dependable-solutions.net.
All right, everybody, thank you very much for being on this media conference call. This is Sean Wheelock. I think I know most of you. For those of you who don't know me, a television commentator in MMA and boxing. I will be the television play-by-play commentator for Dave Feldman's Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. It's going to be taking place June 2nd in Cheyenne, Wyoming at the Cheyenne Ice and Event Center. It'll be a Saturday night. It will be available through Multivision Inc. Pay-per-view, all major pay-per-view television and online distribution outlets. That will be $29.99. Tickets are already on sale. They've already been selling, thankfully. That is going from $50 through $200 at bareknuckle.tv. So the way this conference call will work, I'm going to introduce the speakers one by one. They'll make some comments, and then all media will have a chance to answer questions. We'll also give you guys a chance to answer questions in a one-on-one situation. We want to do as much media as you guys want us to. So we'll go to our guests, then we'll certainly be available for one-on-ones with Brian Pedersen, who's chairman of the Wyoming Combative Sports Commission, Dave Feldman, who is the president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. We'll get you to fighters. We'll take care of the media. We'll also talk later if you guys want to come and cover the event on June 2nd in Cheyenne. We'll certainly accommodate all the media on media credentials. And a press release will be going out within the hour with more information, including with Dave Feldman's contact info. So I will start with the man who has definitely made this possible, taking a big step for combative sports and bare knuckle fighting in Wyoming. This is Brian Pedersen, the head of the Wyoming Commission.
Thank you so much. I thought I'd begin with what got us to start regulating and sanctioning this, and the reality is it exists in our state. We have anywhere from 6 to 10 events a year for at least the last 5 years that we've been monitoring, and we've got Wyoming folks who are participating in. They are the fans, they are the fighters, they are the promoters, and it's really a run to regulation that was brought to us from the industry that says we'd like to have some rules, some accountability, and some standards to help these bouts to bring the safest possible outcome for our folks. And it made the most sense for us to be the regulatory body for it. We are the world's first and only MMA-only commission. We're not a boxing commission. We do not regulate boxing. We only regulate mixed martial arts. The current things we regulate are, of course, MMA and kickboxing. And this will be an opportunity for us to regulate another mixed martial art, and that is bare knuckle fighting.
Again, we'll have question and answer afterwards, but right now, for some introductory comments, I want to go to the man who has been working on this. He has been running towards regulation and safety for fighters in bare knuckle, getting this approved. Again, this will be the first sanctioned, regulated, and legal bare knuckle fighting event in the United States since 1889. He's the president of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship from Philadelphia. He's also a former professional boxer, David Feldman.
Hey, guys. Thank you all for calling in today, as we welcome everybody that's on the call and everybody around the world into a new era in combat sports. Bare knuckle fighting has arrived. It will be here on June 2nd in Cheyenne, Wyoming, live on pay-per-view, distributed by Multivision Media, and tickets are on sale at bareknuckle.tv, and they are already selling at a pretty good pace. We are super, super excited to be able to present this historic event right here in the great state of Wyoming, where Brian Pedersen had stepped up and given us the opportunity that we've been working for the past 7 years to get this sport legalized. We've pushed and we've pushed with a lot of pushback, and we finally met the commission that understands that this is a safer sport and it's what needs to be regulated. So he's going to step up and regulate this historic event on June 2nd. And we are super excited to have former UFC world champion Rico Rodriguez on the card, lineal bare knuckle boxing heavyweight champion Bobby Gunn, former WEC and UFC fighter Joe Riggs, former lightweight world champion Paul Spadafora. We've got the who's who in combat sports on this card. K1, 37-1 fighter Maurice Jackson. We're starting off this inaugural event with a 8-man heavyweight tournament. We'll do the quarterfinal rounds here on June 2nd, and then we'll do the semifinal round in September, and the finals will be in December, where the winner will get the championship belt or the opportunity to fight for the championship and a $50,000 prize. So we're really excited about this event and everybody that's on this card and everybody that stepped up to help this historic event happen. And thank you all for dialing in today.
Fighting on the card, he's the former UFC heavyweight champion, Rico Rodriguez. I'm going to now go remotely. We're not with him, but I'm going to go to Rico Rodriguez now for a few comments. Bear with me, Rico. All right, Rico, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on today. And I just want to thank David Feldman and, of course, the commissioner for having this event, Brian Peterson. Pedersen, and just excited to be part of something historical that's going to be, I think, entertainment and electrifying, something different to watch, and it's not going to be another fight like mixed martial arts that's repeating itself over and over again.
Rico, do you want to talk about the competition and what this means for your career? Address that to the media, please.
I believe the most important part about this is that it's something frontier, it's pioneerish, and we're doing something that's different, and I'm excited to be part of that. And for me, I fought all around the world. I fought in Japan, I fought in the UFC, I fought for all the top organizations. This is just another opportunity for me to shine under the lights and perform under something that's going to be the first time since a long time.
Thank you, Rico. Again, media, Rico, stay with us. Again, at the end of the opening comments, we will have Q&A. You can certainly talk to Rico Rodriguez. Now I want to go to Brian Rico. His background, Brian Rico is head of Multivision Inc., pay-per-view distributor. My great friend Art Davey, the founder, the creator of the UFC, worked over 2 decades ago with Brian Rico on bringing the UFC to pay-per-view. Again, this event will be across the U.S. and Canada, across all major distribution platforms on pay-per-view television. So, bear with me 1 second. I'm Brian Rico. I've unmuted your line, so if you want to address the media on the pay-per-view distribution, please. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sean. Thank you, David. Yes, my name is Brian Rico. I'm the president, executive producer, excuse my voice, of Multivision Media, Inc. I've been involved in most of the big pay-per-view events of the last 25 years. I was there when UFC started in 1993 and when WrestleMania began and both Tyson Holyfield fights. We're very excited about distributing this event throughout the U.S. via cable and satellite, and throughout the world via cable networks and over-the-top streaming. And we're also very excited because we're exploring the opportunities to distribute this event in 4K, which will really put this event front and center. We're in between the Preakness and the Belmont Stakes, and we really think that we're going to tap into the most exciting minutes in all of sports. So we're looking forward to the event, and I'll stand by for any questions.
Brian, thank you very much. I want to now go to DJ Linderman. DJ, I first knew him when we were both in Bellator, an outstanding fighter. He's progressed on in his career as a boxer and an MMA fighter from the time we were in Bellator together, and now he's going to be prominently featured in one of our main bouts at BKFC 1 on June 2nd in Cheyenne. So, DJ, I've unmuted your line. If you want to go ahead, please.
How's it going, Sean?
Hey, DJ.
Hello?
Go right ahead. Just opening comments to the media.
I'm glad to be a part of this heavyweight tournament, and I'm looking forward to, getting in the ring with any one of these heavyweights. It's an honor to get in there with each and every one of them. I just know I'm going to have my hand raised at the end of this tournament.
So just a little background on the card. So it's going to be 12 fights. Thanks, DJ. DJ is part of it. I'll reiterate what Dave Feldman said. There'll be an 8-man tournament. This is not, I repeat, not a one-night tournament. This is the opening round, the quarterfinal round. The 4 winners advance to the second event, which we're looking at for September, and then the 2 winners would advance to the final, which we're looking at for December. Before we go to media Q&A, I'm going to throw back to David Feldman just to talk about the overall picture of BKFC, because the point we want to put across on this call today, this is not seen as a one-off event. Just like what Art Davey did working with Brian Rico 25 years ago, Art Davey had a 5-year initial contract with SEG to make it into a franchise, and obviously 25 years later, it's a $4 billion plus industry. So I'll throw it back to Dave Feldman to talk about just early stages of big picture for Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship.
Well, as Sean already mentioned, we have a 3-fight rollout for the rest of this year planned, as long as everything goes well on June 2nd, as we anticipate that it will. We anticipate doing between 6 and 12 shows in 2019, and then 12 to 24 shows the following year, and really building this into not just a national brand, but an international brand. We are absolutely looking to build a new sports franchise here. So we're not just trying to put on one event that people said we couldn't do, and we were able to get that sanction and do an event, but we're actually building a complete sports franchise here.
Guys, we're going to have one more comment. I'm going to go back to Brian Pedersen, who again is chairman of the Wyoming Commission. And a question that's being asked a lot, and I'll go ahead and anticipate the question, turn this to Brian, which is what he's continually been getting is, why Wyoming?
You know, I'm grateful that we're part of hosting the very first, and I think it should be part of what Wyoming's legacy is. We have a long, rich legacy of strong, independent Western culture, and it gives me a lot of pride to be part of this very first show out here in the Cowboy State. We hosted a very early UFC, and it was, I believe, number 6, and to have the opportunity to be the first here, and then to be hosting multiple shows as being the sole venue for this until another state comes along, I think it has a strong economic impact on our community. We're largely a carbon-based economy, and it's those rig workers and those mine workers that are the primary demographic of these young men who are not only the fans, but the participants and the promoters of the sport. And to come to bat for Wyoming citizens and support what I think is representative of our strong Western culture is something that the Wyoming MMA Commission is proud to be a part of.
So, guys, we're going to open it up. We have a lot of media on. We'll get to everybody's questions. And then, again, we're happy to do one-on-ones. You're going to be getting a press release that will have Dave Feldman's contact info. I think most of you know me. You have my contact info. You'll have that again. Dave is definitely the guy. I'm the TV play-by-play commentator on this. Fully believe in this. But Dave will be your main point for that. I'm obviously happy to answer any questions, follow-ups later as we go on. I do want to throw out, too, that another fighter like DJ Linderman, who I'm friends with from my Bellator days, who I'm really happy is on this card, is Nick Mamlis. He's from Green River, Wyoming, extremely popular. And I know that it was important, I think, to Wyoming. It was important to me that there was a big-name Wyoming-based fighter on this card. So Nick Mamlis is one of the fighters signed to this card. He's a Bellator and Victory Fighting Championship vet. So I'm going to unmute the line of our moderator. He's going to explain how this Q&A process works. David, go ahead, please.
All right. Hi, everybody. So we're going to switch over to Q&A mode, so bear with me 1 second. Okay, we are now in Q&A mode. So anybody that wants to ask a question, if you could please just press *5, and then your hand will be raised, and then we will select people as we go. So right now, we're actually going to go to Eric Cole. So Eric, bear with me 1 second. Eric, go ahead.
My question's for David Feldman. David, I've known you for a number of years on the regional scene, MMA, boxing. I remember last year you did the tryouts for bare knuckle boxing in Philadelphia. There was also talks about doing shows down in Florida. You said you've been doing this trying to get this sanctioned for 7 years. Now, as long as I've known you, I can remember you trying to get this going. Could you talk to us about the ups and downs, this whole process, the trials and tribulations of getting this sport approved and sanctioned in Wyoming?
Yes, it's actually funny you asked that. We were talking about that earlier. And my lucky number is 29, and I'm going to go into that so everybody understands how my lucky number is 29, because we did an event at Fort McDowell Casino in Arizona on August 5th, 2011, sold the place out. People were dying to get in. They couldn't get in. But the interesting part of this is we had 1.2 million people log in to Ustream to buy this fight. And since we didn't really know much about that then, and streaming fights streaming anything on pay-per-view on the internet was kind of in a new phase and didn't really know how to do the paywall. The paywall actually crashed, so we didn't get any money there. So we just knew that it could be something really big because over 1 million people were interested in watching this in one day. So it was an awesome thing for us. So we went to Arizona afterwards, and the state of Arizona tried to get it sanctioned, and they turned us down. So I actually just said, you know what, maybe it was a one-show wonder, and let's just focus on everything else. I was promoting boxing and promoting MMA at the time. We just kind of concentrated on that. And then actually a journalist who writes for Rolling Stone magazine and Men's Journal, Staten Bonner, he actually reached back out to me and said, hey, what's going on with this bare knuckle thing? And I just started plugging away at it again. He gave me the motivation to go after it again. And then I got turned down by 27 more states. And sometime in that, from the 2 to 27 states that turned to the 28 states that turned me down, I just said, there's no way in the world I'm gonna get this done, or I'm gonna die trying. And you know, I think in life you have to, if you really just go for what, anybody can do anything in life that they really want to do if they try hard enough. And this just shows really there is an American dream out there, and if you work hard enough and try hard enough, you can get anything done. So on the 29th state, we reached out to Wyoming, Brian Pedersen, where bare knuckle fighting was already happening in this state, staged by Corey Williams, who did a great job of advocating for this as well. And, you know, he saw that this sport absolutely needed to be regulated to protect the safety of the athletes and the well-being of the state. So here we are on number 29. The 29th state that we attempted to get into accepted us. So now 29 is our lucky number. And on June 2nd, 2018, we will welcome a new era in combat sports. Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship will change the world in combat sports. And we're so excited to be the promotion that's leading the way and to work with a state that is so open-minded enough, like Wyoming and Brian Pedersen, to get this thing off the ground.
Well, congratulations. Will this new venture of yours that you're undertaking, will this have any impact on any other projects you're working on, MMA, boxing? I know you also work with USK when they're in Philadelphia. Will this have any impact on any of those other organizations or events?
Well, if Eric, if things go as planned, all those other things that we're working on, all those other people will probably be working on Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, because, like I said before, this isn't a one-show wonder. We're not looking to do 2 or 3 shows. We're looking to build a sports franchise. And, you know, as you know, some of those people, they're all great team members, and we'd love to have them on this team to build Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship into the next big thing in combat sports.
Awesome. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, media, again, Dave, do you want to tell the media, remind them how they go through the Q&A process, please?
Sure. If anybody has a question, please press *5 on your keypad, and your hand will be raised, and then we will call on everybody in order. Again, *5.
This is a shy group of media people because I'm looking on the screen and we have a lot of people on this call. You guys aren't going to put it on me to ask questions, are you? I'll wait another second. If not, I'll keep this thing rolling. We do have a question. All right. I think it's Eric McGracken. I'm not sure. Oh, good. Hands are going up. All right. Dave, go back to it as moderator, please.
Sure. So the person from the British Columbia, Canada, area code 250.
Oh, hi,
can you hear me?
Eric McGracken here. I run CombatSportsLaw.com. 2 questions. First,
hey, Eric. It's Sean. Just saying hey.
What's the main event for this inaugural event? Who's the headliner?
Well, I mean, the main event is actually the heavyweight tournament, and then we're looking at a match for Bobby Gunn right now. He came off a slight injury, so we're looking at Bobby Gunn to defend his lineal heavyweight bare knuckle championship. So we're looking at some possible opponents for him right now, and we should have that secured by Friday. If not, then it's just going to play as the heavyweight tournament is actually the main event with a lot of star quality there.
Got it. And my next question is for the commissioner. I'm just wondering what safety data you looked at when deciding to regulate bare knuckle boxing. Are there any studies or other data that came across your desk in making your decision to regulate the sport?
We did have a series of things that had been provided to us. You know, we had reached out and got some information from Kansas Commission, some stuff from the industry, some various pieces out there. And the reality came when we're looking at impact trauma to the head. And so the two pieces that we already regulate are mixed martial arts and kickboxing in the state of Wyoming. In both of those sports, you can take an elbow to the head, knee to the head, or a shin kick to the head, like a baseball bat, you know. And that type of blunt force trauma is what leads to that concussive damage. And that's what we're trying to avoid, is that long-term CTE impact that can hurt so many fighters' futures. Almost everything that we're coming across says that the bare knuckle is far less impactive than that. You know, this guy's got his chin down, he's got his head down, he's covered up, he's in a better spot, and so providing regulation for something that we think will have less traumatic brain injury, I think is something we're proud to be a part of, and something that is important to us to protect our citizen participants.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Dave, I'll go back to you. I know we have another hand up, as I see on the screen.
Yeah, so it's actually a block number, so I'm actually going to click on you now. Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, hi. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the opportunity. This is Bob Carson. I host a podcast called Carson's Corner. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Hi, how are you guys? So I have a question for anybody really can answer it. Maybe Rico or DJ want to answer this. It seems that there's a lot of fighters from MMA that are going the route of bare knuckle boxing. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people are sort of gravitating towards this sport?
Bob, hold on one second. That's a very good question. Rico and DJ, I've unmuted both of your lines so you can both answer, please.
For me, I think we're already using a smaller glove, and a lot of the taping for mixed martial arts doesn't really allow you to tape over the knuckle like it does for boxing. And for me personally, I think it's safer because you don't have a cast type of hand wrap, and the clinching is very close to the mixed martial arts. And plus, I think it's going to be a lot more entertaining. But for me, it's something I've always wanted to do, and I think it's going to be one of the best out there. So for me, it's about just putting on a great show for the fans. But I think it's going to be something very similar to what I do, which is not that different from the mixed martial arts.
And as for me, I think it's going to be a great switch. I've had MMA and boxing in my career, and I'm looking for something different. I feel bare knuckle boxing, will take it to that next level, make my boxing a whole lot crisper. And it's been something I've been looking forward to, been trying to get into, and finally with Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, I've got my chance, and it's an honor to do it with them.
Now, you mentioned that it was David, I think it was you, mentioned that there's going to be a heavyweight tournament, an 8-man heavyweight tournament. Do we have that all filled out? Do we know all the heavyweights that are going to be in that tournament?
Yes, we do. There's actually going to be a press release that's going to go out following this call, and that'll all be included in there. But we have the likes of Eric Prindle, former Bellator, former Bellator tournament winner and heavyweight challenger, Maurice Jackson, 37-1 K1, and now MMA fighter,
Sam.
Sergey Bostovov. I can't remember his exact last name, but from Russia, another 28-3 K1 fighter. He'll be in it. Sam Shoemaker, undefeated professional boxer. Arnold Adams. He's Frank Mir's chief sparring partner, and he trains with at the Mayweather gym as well. So we have a lot of really good quality in this first heavyweight tournament, and we thought it was a really good way for us to create our heavyweight the heavyweight challenger, because I feel as Bobby Gunn will have one or two more fights in him, and maybe he fights the winner of this for the heavyweight championship, or maybe he vacates his championship and the finals of this heavyweight tournament becomes the heavyweight champion. We're going to do this with all the weights as we move forward in this, as we roll out this. Like I said, as we roll out this sports franchise, it's not just a one-hit wonder here. As we roll this out, we're going to do tournaments in every weight division to create our own world champions. We can't just say, this guy from this sport or this guy from that sport should fight for our world championship. You're going to have to prove your worth in the squared circle, and you're going to have to toe the line and find out who is the real world champion.
Thanks. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you, Bob. I want to go back to Dave real quick. I want him to address on the hand wrapping because, and I mean absolutely no disrespect to the two organizations I'm going to mention, but what's happening with Bare Knuckle in the United Kingdom, they're actually wrapping the knuckle. My buddy Joe Riggs, who I'm happy to say is fighting on this card, has fought twice in England, and that's a wrapping of the knuckle. I commentate a series out of Myanmar called Lefwi, which is similar to Muay Thai. And when they hired me, they said it was bare knuckle. And then when I showed up for the first fight, the hands had big wraps on them. So I'm going to throw back to Dave to address exactly what the wraps will look like.
Well, that goes back to the history and all this right now. And I just want to address that we will be on June 2nd, the only legal, regulated, and sanctioned bare knuckle fighting event in the entire world. So the hand wraps go like this. You're 1.5 inches down from the knuckles. You can wrap mid-hand, around the thumb, and below the wrist. So it's going to prevent wrist rolls. It's going to also tighten up the mid-hand to prevent the boxer fracture. But other than that, from 1 inch below the knuckles on the mid-hand all the way through the knuckles are bare, hence bare knuckle fighting. And all fighters will wear a traditional boxer's cup and a mouthpiece.
Do we have any more media on this call? Again, I have the privilege of a screen. I know we have a lot of media on. Does do any other media want to ask a question in this setting? I'll give it a moment.
If you'd like to ask a question, if you'd like to ask a question, please press *5 on your keypad.
So we'll wait to see if there are any more. So again, we're going to be sending out press releases. Dave Feldman's direct contact info will be on there. I think you guys know how to get a hold of me. If not, I'm pretty accessible, and a lot of this is going to come from my personal email. Brian Pedersen has a trip internationally tomorrow, or later on today, actually. But when he gets back into the United States, yeah, he said he'll answer it there. So he's completely open and transparent, as is the Wyoming Commission, Dave Feldman. So certainly we're available. Oh, good. We have another question. Dave, I will go back to you to throw it to our questioner.
Okay, Brian, can you hear me? Hey, Brian.
How you doing? I'm looking to talk to Dave Feldman, and thank you for letting us be a call of this historic call today. I'm wondering, as far as in-ring action, the ring. Do you guys have a ring set up? Is it going to be a traditional ring? Is it going to be what type of battlefield will the combatants be battling in?
It's a 22-foot patent pending squared circle. So it's a square platform with a circle ring. So it's never been done before. It's a complete circle, and it's 22 foot in diameter. So that's where they will be fighting in. They will, like I said, they will toe the line. They will come to the center of the ring, 4 foot long lines separated by 3 foot in distance from each other, and they will put their front foot on the line, and they will toe the line, and they will start from 3 foot from each other, not from opposite corners. So the referee will call the fighters to the center of the ring. He will say, fighters toe the line. The fighters will then toe the line. He will then say, fighters knuckle up. That's another one of our phrases that we're going to be using, that the referee is going to be using to instruct the fighters to start fighting.
I love the knuckle up phrase, Dave. Thanks for taking the question. One more quick question. I know you said a press release will be going out shortly after the call today, but if you don't mind me asking for my own thing as I write this article here, what kind of I've seen rumblings online. What kind of reception are you getting from professional fighters? I mean, across all organizations, they seem pretty open to it. Have you already contacted? You've obviously already spoken to a few. We've talked to a few here on the call, but I'm wondering how has it been for you? They're probably contacting you. You're getting from all across all different organizations because they probably want to see who the baddest guy is. I mean, they're competitive guys.
Yeah, absolutely. We put some feelers out about 2 weeks ago, and we didn't get that great of a response. Only about 5,000 fighters were interested in competing in this historic event. So yes, to answer your question, we are getting inundated with fighters that are very, very interested in being a part of this event. But, you know, we have to pick them carefully because it's not just, it has to be a little bit of everything. They have to be able to bring it. First and foremost, they have to be able to fight. Then they have to be able to put on a good show, and they have to have a little bit of name recognition and have the experience that goes with it. So it's not a very easy process, but it's a process that we're doing, and right now we have about 8 to 9 fights matched on this anticipated 12-fight bare knuckle card. Also, go ahead.
I was going to say thank you again, Dave. Please go ahead.
Also wanted to mention that we're not going to release the names now, but we have top referees in both MMA and boxing. Very, very well-known referees in both of those combat sports will be refereeing this historic event.
Okay, thank you again for taking my question. I'm excited to see the success that's going to happen. Sounds like you're set up for success. I'm ready to watch history in the making. Thank you for involving all the media on this call. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Brian, good stuff. Thanks. So again, I'll give media an opportunity in this setting. I believe that I know everybody on this call as I'm looking at this screen. If I haven't contacted you directly, I'm going to give everyone my personal email, and I will send you the press release. So I'm going to say it twice for everyone. It's pretty basic. My personal email is my initials plus MMA. So it's SD like dog, WMMA @gmail.com. Again, it's SD like dog, WMMA @gmail.com. If you haven't received anything from me, that means I don't have your email address and you've gotten this press conference notification through other means, which is great. I'm happy you're on. But hit me up. I will get you the media release, which will be coming out shortly. And again, that will have all the contact info. I'll throw it out and see if there are any other questions to everyone. I'll give it just a moment if any more hands go up. Yeah, it's *5. Is that right, Dave, our moderator?
Yes, correct. *5 if you have a question.
I'm not seeing the hands go up, so again, I want to thank everybody. Thank you so much for taking your time. The media reaction has just been fantastic, overwhelming. Speaking for myself as a commentator, and a lot of you know what I do on the regulatory side, I couldn't be more pleased. I believe in this. I feel that this is an extremely safe, smart thing. And I look at this a lot like what happened with my sport of MMA in my state of Kansas in the 1990s, pre the Kansas Athletic Commission, where MMA was happening, sometimes multiple weekends, and the fighters weren't being kept safe, and it was unregulated and it was unsanctioned, but it was happening. And thankfully, the Kansas Athletic Commission came along and it made it a safe and legal and sanctioned sport. And I truly believe that's what Brian Pedersen has done with Wyoming. And I think that's what Dave Feldman has done. And he has taken a sport that he could have gone to a non-ABC Native American commission and held this. He could have gone to the Caribbean. He could have gone to any number of foreign countries. He chose not to do so. He chose to run towards regulation. Again, I'm just speaking myself personally on that. Thrilled to be a commentator and thrilled to be involved with this. Again, I thank everybody for being on this media call. Look for that email release. And again, if you haven't heard from me, email me. I will get it to you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much, everyone.